Good day. In recent times, President Trump has started to engage more with the African continent. We all remember President Trump has not been friendly towards Africa, especially in recent times when he had hosted the South African president in the White House, and he wasn't particularly nice to him. That is besides his other actions, which has shown that he does not particularly like Africa. First, he has put 7 African countries on the on a list banning them from visiting America, and then we hear also that already 25 countries that are also on that list. But in recent times, President Trump has started to change his tone regarding Africa. In fact, we really don't know if he's turned a new leaf, and that raises a big question. What may have affected or informed President Trump's new engagement with Africa? Two recent events come to mind. One, he brokered peace between Congo and Rwanda in the White House when he brought foreign ministers of these two countries who have had conflict for a while now. He brought them and tried to make peace with them, and it is expected that the presidents of these two countries will soon be visiting America. Congo, I should note, is very rich in minerals, probably the richest in minerals, rare earth metals, particularly in Africa. But it is the recent invitation of 5 African countries, the presidents of 5 African countries to the White House, where President Trump was very magnanimous to them, very condescending, very calm, and very welcoming. Not
Mhm.
something you see as happened to other presidents in the White House.
Mhm.
In this meeting, he met with the president of Guinea-Bissau, Mauritania, Gabon, Liberia, but there was one particular president or some countries that were conspicuous in their not being there.
Mhm.
But the 5 countries that were there were well treated, fitted, and it was a mini summit for 3 days.
It's awesome.
Yes. So now this brings to question, what has caused this sudden flip and change in attitude towards Africa by President Trump? Well, Uche, you've been observing all these things, and I want to throw this question to you. What do you think may be informing this sudden niceness of President Trump towards the African continent?
Hi, everyone. Sorry I've been away for a minute. It's great to be back. What does Donald Trump aim to accomplish? Because with him, it's everything is a strategy, right? It's not a mistake. It's planned and it's a
Mm.
scheme, if you ask me. So what does he hope to accomplish? Well, those countries, apparently Sierra Leone, right? Is Sierra Leone one of them? Senegal,
Gabon, Senegal,
Dakar, the
Mauritania,
Western, yeah,
Liberia.
Liberia. So it's you always have to go back to trade deals and resources, right? And the fact that, it's never a good thing to shut everybody out. You need allies somewhat. And again, also maybe the demeanor of the presidents or the people he spoke with, he communicated with while aligning his meeting. And so even that would also speak to it. But I think more importantly is the fact that you cannot isolate a whole region, right? So some of his knee-jerk approach or his entire knee-jerk approach to immigration, at times when you go and revisit his drawing board, even he probably realizes that there's a need to slow down on this. You cannot alienate an entire region that has been useful over time to you, with America in terms of sales, resources, etc. And so I think that it just comes from him realizing that he needs Africa. He still needs Africa. And as well as the countries being willing to communicate with him. That's how I look at it. I don't overanalyze anything he does. He tends to have a knee-jerk approach to the way he handles things. And so it's sort of, in my opinion, quite spontaneous and not exactly the way a president should operate. And so it gets us all confused, quite frankly, because the one minute you're banning 25 countries, the next minute you're inviting five countries. It's a bit confusing, but with him, strategy, schemes and stuff like that, that's his motivation. So
Yeah, President Trump has been really flip-flopping on a lot of things. And
indeed.
in fact,
Hmm.
when even though he's been nice to some of these countries here now, we should
Hmm.
know that some of other countries are under scrutiny, like
Hmm.
because of the tariffs. You know, he has this
Correct.
new tariff regime, and he was very hard on South Africa again, pushing the South
Hmm.
African narrative that they are not getting the best out of America. But how
But
long do you think he can sustain it? We really,
he'll sustain it for as long as he needs to. I
mm,
mean, in my opinion, it's a good thing, right? It's always good to go back to the drawing board, review, and then when you review, then you make those changes. So if he is making changes, we embrace it. Any type of change is embraced that is positive to the region as well as to America. Diplomatic relations, again, we bring that up all the time. He sees the need not to isolate a region, an entire region, Africa. You can't do that. And so, even if he's playing games or whatever, as long as he's playing his games, but allowing things work out, it works for everybody. See what I'm saying? So, however long it needs to take, it needs to happen, let it happen. Yeah. So we don't need to care how long it even happens, to be honest.
mhm.
We just need to see that he is taking those steps. He's learning from his past mistakes. When he had the South African president, he did the gotcha. I don't hear that he did a gotcha with these other ones. And so
No,
I
he
think
was
it's
very
open.
nice, gave them lunch,
Exactly.
was very
Exactly.
cordial to them, said nice
Yes.
things. He told the Liberian president that, wow, your English is very good. Where did you learn English from?
How condescending, right? Yeah, I know. But that's him. If that's what he has to offer, we'll take it. We'll take it because we can clearly see his baby steps to make things better, right? He probably realizes his mistakes. Doesn't mean he has improved on anything relating to immigration and all the actual things that matter to the average American or to the average immigrant. He hasn't improved on that. So everything, that's why with him, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Everything is clearly all planned out and schemed to look good, right? So it doesn't really shift the needle one way or the other, if you ask me, quite frankly. So,
Yeah, we have a hero now in Africa that is blowing up the internet, and everybody wants to know a little bit more about him, and that's Ibrahim
hmm.
Traore of Burkina Faso. He was
Hmm.
conspicuous in not being there because most of the people that were invited were from West Africa. And Ibrahim Traore was not part of that trip. We don't know, although we may suspect that because he always stands up against imperialists, he always says all these people exploit Africa. We know now that President Trump may just be responding to changes in geopolitics, especially and how
Indeed.
China is investing in Africa, Russia is investing, supporting Ibrahim Traore, and we didn't see Ibrahim Traore being invited. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see Ibrahim Traore in White House, wouldn't it have been?
It would have been. We don't know for a fact that he wasn't invited. We don't know the details, so we can't really speak on that part. It could have been that, yes, he was invited and he couldn't make it. And I will understand someone like Ibrahim Traore not being able to make it. I think his focus is on his region, his country.
Mhm.
His focus is not like I remember I heard there was someone who was going to one of the celebrities was going to perform a show at his place
Mhm.
in his country, and he said, no, not now. So I think he's very focused on getting certain things accomplished first
Mm,
before he starts to do anything else. Now, could that appear threatening to other world leaders? Absolutely, because then it gives off the energy that he is like, how do I put it? He's just all about his region, but he has to be all about his region at this time to get things settled and situated. So, but we can't speak on whether he was invited, not invited, because we don't know the facts. Facts we have is just that he wasn't there, he wasn't present. So maybe he just chose not to be there, and
yeah,
that's understandable.
it will really be a good thing if you can bring peace to Congo and to Rwanda, because for a long time, those two countries, Rwanda has been using the proxy of the M23 rebels to cause they've been having issues in that place. And
Hmm.
the Donald Trump was made to face a hard reality recently when he tried to tariff China. And China fought back because they control a large amount of the rare earth metals in the world. And every single place America tries to get rare earth metal, China has already bought those mines. So now, all these countries that came, both even the Congo and even the five countries that he invited, seems to have
Hmm.
large, vast mineral resources like rare earth metals.
Hmm. Hmm.
What we have known, you are a student of the humanities in many ways, and
Hmm.
you have known how Africa has been exploited so many times because of this our rare earth, which has become almost a curse to African states. It
Hmm.
is the reason why there's conflict, there's war. People, when we make a video like this, people
Hmm.
may ask, why do we concern ourselves wholeheartedly about the politics in Africa?
Hmm.
Well, I should point out that refugees from Congo, refugees
Hmm.
from Senegal, and refugees from
Hmm.
Mauritania now find their
Hmm.
way to Nicaragua and Ecuador
Hmm.
and show up in the southern border now. These are countries
Hmm.
too. So I hear also that among one of the things that was discussed was refugees flows, and that if there's employment in these
Hmm.
countries, because Trump framed it as a commercial engagement. He says no more aid, but he wants a commercial relationship with these countries so that they can create employment. And if they create employment, people will see jobs and they may not need to be taking this dangerous journey to Mexico and to Nicaragua
Hmm.
and join all these. You think he will be able to achieve that with all this strong rhetorics against immigration?
Achieve what exactly?
Trying to change the way he looks at the interactions between America and Africa to being one of commercial enterprise, win-win solutions, as the Chinese always say.
I don't think so. So you have to understand that Donald Trump is not the most skilled at diplomatic relations, or even he doesn't even understand what America wants or needs. And I think that he's just filling up space. You know, I'll always come from a very critical standpoint. So if you were analyzing a better president and his actions, I would be open to going into understanding, motivations and things like that. Well, not with Donald Trump. There's no rhyme or reason to how he operates, right? And so I really do wonder about his advisors and who hangs around him and how he makes decisions. So when you want to talk about bilateral relations, you don't want to talk about things that regular presidents talk about and discuss and strategize. We're not dealing with a person that cares much about any of that. So unfortunately, I can't even come up with anything sensible to respond to that. I can't analyze Donald Trump. He has a way he operates, right? We all know this. He has a way he operates. There's no rhyme or reason. So he's not the one to kind of we just have to take him as we see him and take his actions as we see his actions. So no, the answer to your question, I think my answer to that is no, right? I
Well,
don't think. Go ahead. Go ahead. Unfortunately,
unfortunately,
what?
as the president of America, one of the most, if not the most powerful country in the world, their actions really affect a lot of people.
he's
And
telling me, do
mm,
you see what's been going on in Los Angeles? Do you see how he's been affecting the lives of people in
mm,
very, very detrimental, sad ways?
deporting
Yet he
people.
thinks hurting people, killing people, people are dying
Mm,
from. If you are you watching how ICE is throwing people
yeah.
in trucks? Are you seeing the very dangerous way ICE members or ICE workers or whoever those men are, ICE officials are manhandling human beings? It's never been like that in the
And
history
they
of
cover their
America.
face now, you
And
know.
because they're scared of retribution. They're scared of people, excuse me, they're scared of people identifying them and coming after them or their family. So they just want, it's all about money and the work and they're doing it. But the point I'm making is there are real things going on in America. We clearly have a leader who's unable to handle America at this time. But for whatever reason, he's the president, right? And we just have to take him day by day until the torture is over, until he's not the one
We
at
still
the
have
helm.
three
Now,
and a
look,
half years. We still have three. It's
still have
only
three and a
six
half
months
years.
into his regime.
Indeed. Indeed. But do you realize that after this whole cut on Medicaid, because remember, we just had a whole bill, big ugly bill that just went into do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, the Republicans are going to have to take the hit for this because a lot of people are going to vote them out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's affecting everybody. So
And
it's
your other friend, the one that if I call his name now will get you riled up again. Elon Musk has said
not
he's going to form his own party too. So and he's saying that he's going to
Elon
crack
doesn't
it.
round me up like that too. But
Like,
even
okay.
Elon doesn't round me up. Elon has just done what he has done and he has moved on. He has businesses to manage. He has his own thing to look out for. You know what I mean? He fell out with the president and it's whatever it is. I don't really care much.
Yeah.
You know, but it's as with a lot of people that Donald Trump relates with, you become disposable when he no longer needs your
Needs, and that was
services,
too
right?
fast. That was too fast. After spending almost $280 million in his campaign, then you
That's the
just
point
dispose of
exactly.
him 3 months or 2 months into your government. That
It
was too
has
fast.
to be demonstrated for people to understand this man. And sometimes it has to be demonstrated over 10 times. Look at Rudy Giuliani, look at all these people, look at a lot of the people that were his best friends, went to jail, etc. The point I'm making is he's not one for me to actually waste brain matter analyzing because there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it's just a knee-jerk response, and his advisors are just who they are, and he just does. But he's being Donald Trump. You argued for him the other time, right? You said he's fulfilling the mandate and what he promised. So you're one of his people. You understand him.
You will hold me to this man's.
Yeah, I will hold you to it because you argued. Not only did you predict his
I
win,
said he will
you
win. I didn't
argued
say he will be
for
a good
him.
president.
You argued for him, and guess what? It's okay whether I mean everybody's has a right to their choice. I mean, come on, that's what a democracy, a free and fair election should be, right? Nobody should force the next person to vote for who they don't want to vote for. But don't come crying to us when they've stripped you of Medicaid. Not you, I'm talking about his voters.
Mm.
Actually, there was a lady I saw, a Hispanic lady. I think she held a whole like show for him. With her microphone, she was singing, oh, Donald Trump, this and that. They were saying, oh, they must vote Donald Trump. And then the next video showed her sobbing. I think they had thrown her husband into one of
there,
those buses or
there's
things.
there's an interesting one about the Latino for Trump man in Florida who's from Cuba who
Mhm.
has been deported by ICE.
Exactly. So
but
that's the
but
point exactly. So for us, it's entertainment. Even though it breaks my heart as a fellow immigrant, as someone who's been through the asylum process, as someone who knows what it means, what it takes, it breaks my heart. But it's bordering on entertainment at this point because I mean, I think spoke with a couple of people. See, the analysis, their reason for voting for him, we all know, was because they thought it would make him more compassionate towards them, more empathetic, or should I say sympathetic towards their plight, right? So I can understand human beings thinking that that would affect another human being in a positive way, but not this particular person. It's not his business. You put me in office, so what?
Yeah,
So what?
he has been winning a lot in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has seemed to have sided with him on a lot of issues. And one of the
Because
issues,
there's a majority, right?
yeah, one of the
We have a
issues though
majority, yes.
also brings us back to Africa again.
Mhm.
He came up with this idea of sending um, immigrants, the ones that they don't want, to third party countries. And one of those third party countries that has shown up and has shown the interest Donald Trump has of Africa is South Sudan. So now they can take you, you are from one country in Africa and your country is delaying in accepting you back because
They'll push it
we
to
should know that
another country.
they'll send you to South Sudan and you may just be there when the rebels may be coming for the prison that
Isn't that just a mess with treating human beings like they're
so you
cargo?
can see how
People in South
Donald
Sudan
Trump
are
is
trying to
engaging
figure out.
with Africa. His third party now is having an agreement, and I think he also wants to be able to send people to Rwanda. He has chosen, and he was
Yeah,
actually
yeah, in
talking
the
about this
countries.
third party arrangements with the five presidents that were there, so that they can open up their country to illegal immigrants. So you will be receiving illegal immigrants from Mexico. There may be plenty Mexicans soon showing up in Senegal. Plenty.
It's not funny, really, to be honest. It's not funny because it's playing with human lives. But this is typical of Donald Trump. He doesn't really care what happens to people. It's all about him. And at this point, the good thing is that a lot of his supporters are going through what he's dishing out or the effect, the cause of his decisions are suddenly blowing up in their faces. And I think that's the only way to kind of let it all, you know, be,
Yeah,
let them understand what they just did. And like I said in the one or two videos before, I said, let the people that voted for him deal with the consequences of voting for him. So I guess
yes.
they're dealing with it. Yeah.
Yeah, now that you've mentioned it, there's been a
Hmm.
lot of backlash from his supporters. He has this MAGA
Indeed.
supporters, and when he went to war, especially during the Iran war, they really were not happy with that. And one of the things too they are not happy with is the birthright citizenship thing that he wants to take away.
Hmm.
What's your opinion
Oh,
about that one?
it is unconstitutional.
Hmm.
Okay, it is extremely unconstitutional. He's going into an arena, and it's interesting to watch this. Like you said, what's going on with the Supreme Court, almost like siding with him. I'll be interested to see how this is going to play out, especially with birthright citizenship, because it's wrong.
Another judge has challenged it again in
That
another
black
state
lady,
another
yes,
state
I saw
today.
her.
Mm.
Yes, I saw her. And like when I saw her, I was like, black women holding it down. Black women earn certain 66 cents to a dollar that the white men earn. They're the lowest of the economic rung, right? On the ladder, like the last rung, that's where you find black women, but they're holding it down across. In fact, they're the superstars, the rock stars we have, in all these our judicial, all these our courts, they're doing the work.
Mm.
But that's what black women do. We how do they say, we uphold half the earth or whatever, half the sky, as
I
Nicholas Christmas says.
I have
But
an
yeah,
opinion on that. Too. I will. This
tell
is my
me,
opinion, and then you can chip in on it.
no problem.
One of the greatest assets America has always had is that plenty
Yes.
people from all over the world want to come
Hmm.
and have their children here, so that even if they don't live here, their children can have a
Hmm.
life here. You know.
Hmm.
And that right has been a big privilege. That's how come we have a lot of Filipino Americans, Korean Americans, because they can come here, have their children, and that children
Hmm.
will earn citizenship. And now that is a very important part of the birthright citizenship. Nigerians, Ghanaians, South Africans, all those this and now he is saying that the only way that you can have that is through the fact that you may already have been a citizen. I have friends whose parents, whose children, when they got into majority age of 21, they filed for their parents and all. And
Hmm.
it's really a setback for those countries. That's how I see it. How do you see it?
Yes, I agree with you. He should not touch citizenship. It is not allowed. He's not allowed to do that. It's unconstitutional. He should not go there. It's one of the pathways to America, America gaining its citizens, but as well as people gaining American citizenship. So two-way street. America needs immigrants. Immigrants need who want to be here, allowed to be here if they follow the rules, if they like giving birth to your babies here, it's their rights. They're born on American soil. It should have nothing to do with the fact that your mother is not American. Nothing. Nothing. Do
Mm,
you know how many of my friends were born on American soil, but their parents were not American, and they grew up and then eventually were able to pass on citizenship to their parents? They're not breaking the law. It's constitutional. This started when, I think it had to do with, I read somewhere where Hillary Clinton, if you can give me a second, I like to always quote the people who know more than me, right?
mm.
She talked about it when um, she talked about it the other day when she said, just give me 1 second, I'll give it to you as she said it. But it had to do with basically it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste our time looking. If I keep scrolling, I'll find it and then I can read it word for word. But it basically is a summary that it's not something that he should even attempt,
Mm.
So, but I mean, we're used to this president just reaching, overreaching.
Yeah. Have you?
That is the hallmark of his presidency, is that he has been overreaching. He's touching places that he's not supposed to be, right? So that's his legacy right there, is he's doing things that are not only unconstitutional, but that will be deemed as never haven't been done before. So it's just what it is. But so yeah. It's
Okay.
not comforting.
There's a new one also now. Some
Talk
countries,
to me.
the visa requirements, like it just emerged that in Nigeria, Nigerians cannot come to America. I don't know which other countries it may have affected, but I was
Mhm.
reading where non-immigrant visas, those visitors visas, B1, B2, that used to be 5 years, they now have made it just 3 months. Entry, you can only come visit 3 months, and then after 3 months, and it's only single entry now. So
Single entry, yes, I heard that. That's sad. It's going to be
the
really expensive for
yes,
them
it
to Mhm.
that means that every 3 months you have to go back and apply again and all
Renew
that.
it.
And you know how long the queues are in those countries. Then another one too that has really become a problem is if you're applying for a visa, they expect you to have to give them access to your social media so that they can see if
Oh,
you have said anything nasty about possibly one country they may be protecting or one
or
reality they
maybe
may.
Donald Trump.
So they want you to give them access to your social media, and that becomes another infringement. And so that means that freedom of speech is no more there again, and what you say may deny you a visa. We're seeing so
We
many
knew
new
this.
things coming out that is just very
Like
surprising.
someone like me, if I were to travel now, I'll probably be one of the people they'll say, "Oh, you're always
We heard
arguing
you.
and
We
fighting."
heard you
We
speaking
heard
with.
what you said. Yeah, but they don't have the power. They cannot stop me. I will go and come and go and come
Are
and
you
go and
not the
come.
one who said
And I
this?
will criticize. Is the media has the right to say I will hide behind media now. I won't talk about it as being my First Amendment right. No, I'll hide behind being a media
Did
person.
you
You don't
did
have
you
the right to bully anybody.
did you read about the student, the Palestinian student? I think Columbia University or one of those your
Yeah, that
who
he had arrested.
he was arrested. You know, he has filed a case of a lawsuit of $23 million against the federal government. I think against Trump direct, particularly, and all that. I don't know how.
So it's very entertaining what's going on, but it's also history. And it's going to be referenced many, many years from now. People are going to understand, first of all, the effect of their own choices, how just by taking their civil right or their civil, not civil right, their civil duty, they took it too casually. We knew what Donald Trump did the first time he was in office in his first term. We saw it, it was clear, the handwriting was on the wall. But people were also reckless. I'm not blaming the Hispanics or the Latinos, but I must address it. You can't just decide to vote for someone because you think that his psychological makeup will see things the way you see things. So you're playing tricks. It's a gamble. You say, oh, let us vote for him so that because he might be compassionate towards us because we overwhelmingly voted for him and he'll take us, right? You can't play such Russian roulette with your family's immigration. Look at the consequences. And so history is only going to, it needs to happen so that further down the road, a lot more people are going to process before they take action. The clear candidate is Kamala Harris by
Mm.
all standards. But people played Russian roulette with their own existence, with their family's existence. And that's why we're here today. So there's nothing that's going to come out of the news or out of Donald Trump's office that's going to um, rattle me because I've already thought of the worst with him, right? That's who we had when we had COVID. And he sat on that information for a minute. And then next thing, everything was crazy. Things happen. History is useful to us because we can reflect and see what's going to either be good or bad, right? But if you play with history and pretend like, oh, you can just imagine things into being and imagine that, oh, suddenly he's going to care for you and your family and the entire, and then without even lasting 3, 6 months, he's already dealing with you guys. Maybe you needed to learn that hard lesson so that going forward, you will process before you cast another vote in a direction that's not going to serve you or your family. Nobody's
Anyway,
here to make best friends. He didn't come here to be best friends with you people. He came here to win and deal with the people he needed to deal with. So this is where we are.
anyway,
Anyway.
since his second presidency, Donald Trump has been showing a face of duplicity. He will be telling
Duplicity,
the
right?
Russians, he will be telling the Russians that he's doing peace deal with them. Then tomorrow they'll be bombing the Russians. He will be telling the Iranians that they are doing peace deal with the Iranians, and the next thing the Iranians are being bombed. And we have seen him show that duplicity to Elon Musk. He has shown it to quite a lot of people. So
Hmm.
now that he has called African presidents and is whittling them and
Hmm.
fitting them and making them feel important and feel special, I wonder
He has up his sleeves.
what face of him they will see the next time they come call him and all that.
You
Let's
know the
just.
good thing though? The
Mhm.
good thing is like I said about the South African president, anytime there's the opportunity to meet and talk and hash out things, always take that opportunity, right? This is not a time to, I mean, well, America is still a superpower. And so I think it behooves you to, as a country, to be in alignment to the best of your ability. And dialogue is always very powerful when we deal with anything, right? Communication. And so you find that you might come and sit on the same table as enemies, but by the time you're done with that conversation, you guys align in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be 100%. And so I look at the African countries as being wise to honor the invitation. As many as can honor the invitation, they should. It's not you being a sucker, it's not you being overly humble. It makes practical sense to align with the president of one of the biggest countries of the world, right? Now, whatever his own agenda is, let time tell. You see what I'm saying? Let
Mm.
time tell. I doubt that he's immediately going to attack your country right after he met your president. So you put your country at a better negotiating position in the future because you honored his invitation. You might crack up once you leave the room. You might laugh at everything he said. That's okay, your private this thing, but honor his invitation. Hear him out.
Yeah.
And we can't worry about his motives because his PR people probably said, "Okay, no, your ratings are falling when it comes to Africa, this, that, and the third." And he's like, okay, well, how do we redeem this? And they say, okay, let's come together and invite some of the safer president countries, that are not as that non-problematic countries, right? Let's invite them, and that's how it's been, and so why it went the way it did. So yes, it's always good to honor those invitations. If you have a chance, if you're good at diplomatic relations, chip in things that will benefit your country. He seems very malleable depending on how you approach him. I think he's also someone who likes attention. And so if you honor him, you can actually chip in something that he will honor, right? Or agree to that originally, if you were not present, he might not honor. It's psychology. You just have to play those games with him,
Yeah.
but be willing to listen, to have those conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Even though we don't know his plans, his machinations, his desires,
Okay.
his intentions, it is always good to have dialogue with him.
Indeed.
That would be a very fitting way. It's a positive message. It's a positive way of ending today's video. But before we
Yes.
go, we want to call on those our subscribers. Our output will increase again. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and like, share, spread the word of this channel. We are here to talk about the African immigrant condition, the African continent as a whole, and our reality in the world and how we see it. We are here to better the condition of Africans. Thank you very much for being with us today. We hope to see you. Very nice to see you again.
Great to see you too.
And for all of you, until the next video, you stay safe. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.